So it looks like we will not be getting justice for the death of Shanquella Robinson.
United States citizens cannot go to Mexico, commit a crime that we all saw on a video, and then come back to America and say, we're on base.
I don't believe this is over. We need to elevate this story.
She was a strong, brilliant black woman, the best that we had to offer the world. And that's why we're going to continue to fight for justice for Shanquella Robinson.
Sad news today, racial discrimination has once again obstructed the way of justice. The United States has released its statement that Shanquella Robinson's case does not have enough evidence to pursue legal charges. But this setback has not discouraged the Robinson family from taking their case to the public. Do not rest assured, Cabo 6, we have seen time and again what public pressure can achieve. We've got all deets, so without further ado, let's get into it. The Robinson family's attorney, Sue Ann, recently held a press conference after U.S. officials announced they will not file federal criminal charges in Robinson's death. Sue conveyed the Robinson family's disappointment and frustration with the lack of action in the United States part.
Mrs. Robinson, again, is obviously disappointed, as is all the family at the meeting today.
The United States Attorney, Dina King, had previously released a statement saying that the case was weak to begin with, and there is no substantial evidence. The authorities said in a news release, as in every case under consideration for federal prosecution, the government must prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that a federal crime was committed, based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices. Federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. Even though discouraged, the Robinson family has decided to march and assert public pressure on the government to take action.
But we're not deterred. We're still going to be marching. We're still going to rally in D.C. on May 19th.
The family of Shanquella Robinson, along with many supporters, called on the State Department and Department of Justice to take action Friday morning, since the U.S. has not provided the family with much information about their investigation. Months after Shanquella was killed on a trip to Mexico, the Robinsons have not wavered in their search for the truth about what really happened to their daughter.
We're absolutely preparing for the rally on the 200th day on May 19th, and then we definitely are going to still be, beating down doors and asking for our meeting.
The attorney argued that the case was not taken seriously because the victim was a person of color. Racial discrimination has played a huge part in delaying justice being served to the victim's family.
It shouldn't be that in this country that black women, black and brown victims of crime.
In addition to that, Sue Ann believes that if there were any problems with the autopsies conducted by both Mexico and the United States, the two states should have communicated about it. But all these unnecessary procedures resulted in the delay and nothing else.
Issues with respect to Mexican autopsy versus the autopsy conducted by the FBI, all of those things are going to be a result of a delay.
It is rather mind-boggling to Sue that an international crime was dealt with such irresponsibility. Pause. If the authorities had acted immediately, lack of evidence wouldn't have been an issue.
The authorities would have gotten involved the minute the video surfaced. There wouldn't have been a delay. There would have been immediate statements taken from the individuals involved.
The fans are outraged by the audacity of the American justice system. This is crazy. What more do the FBI need? I pray for justice for this family. Trust me, you're not alone. I'm standing with you and Quella. She didn't deserve this. Justice for her, a beautiful black woman. Now the attorney has concluded that this is a people's case and only people can force the government to provide Robinson with the justice they deserve. She explained that they were able to get the U.S. authorities to release their statement only because of the public's movement and support.
Until the people had to say, hey, we're not going to accept that this is just what it is. This can't be just what it is. We see with our own eyes.
Sue Ann spoke on the behalf of the legal team that they stand with the family until the very end. They are determined to get justice for Robinson, come hell or high water.
And the team, Ben Crump, Tamika Mallory, Until Freedom, Mario Black, all of us, we stand with this family, and we're going to stand with this family till the very end.
As sad as it has always been the case. Black people always have to carve their own way to justice. They have to fight even in depth to get their human and constitutional rights. Remember the case of George Floyd, an African American that was killed brutally at the hand of law enforcement at the side of a road. Well, a witness, Foreman, who was coincidentally also a part of police, described the scene as an altercation between two police officers and several black men protesting near his home near 53rd Street and Lake Park Avenue. Foreman told investigators he attempted to intervene when he saw several police officers just wailing away on a man with their batons. Referring to the case, the attorney believes that the people were able to get justice for George Floyd, so it is quite possible that they will also be able to achieve the same for Shanquella as well. She explains that the government is gaslighting us into doubting the reality we have seen from our own eyes.
That was a case where we were being told, don't believe your own eyes. Don't believe that Derek Chauvin has his knee on his neck for 8 minutes. Believe that it's really a heart palpitation.
Coming back to the case in point, according to the medical examiner, the autopsy results concluded that Robinson's cause of death is undetermined. But the most significant findings were hematoma of the forehead, mild cerebral edema, and hypoxic brain injury. The report stated that the hematoma of the forehead was consistent with blunt force trauma. So taking that statement into account, Sue-Ann questioned how could a case be closed when the cause of death was not determined.
How are you closing an investigation on a case where the cause of death is undetermined, but we all have seen a video showing a brutal attack?
This sentiment is reflected by the public as well. They speculate that there is some corruption in the ranks of the authorities and the judicial system. We have to do a GoFundMe to buy everyone in the US non-justice system glasses. The world watched the video and saw what happened, but they can't find enough evidence. That family better switch gears and sue the Cabo 6 in civil court to strip them of everything they own or will own. I pray for healing for the family and that justice prevails anyway. Ben Crump, part of the legal team, is very optimistic about the case. He believes that all is not lost. We will be able to get justice if we keep pursuing the case. He took to Twitter saying, "Justice is still possible for #Shanquella Robinson's death. While it's discouraging for her family, the DOJ won't be pursuing charges against her aggressor. We hope that justice will be served in Mexico. The U.S. should extradite those responsible to Mexico to face accountability." Despite all the positivity, we all are aware that back in November, Daniel De La Rosa, the Attorney General for Baja California Sur, told reporters that Robinson's death resulted from direct aggression and that an arrest warrant for the crime of femicide, the killing of a woman because of her gender, had been issued. De La Rosa believed that a friend of Robinson's was responsible for her death. But the arrests have not been made to this day, so the public believes that they are just empty words and nothing more. This is empty lip service. Judge Joe Brown broke down why extradition ain't happening. It would open a can of worms that the U.S. ain't ready for since the current POTUS has an open international warrant on him. We already know that initially the Cabo 6 spindled a story about Shanquella's death that she died of alcohol poisoning. But as per the Times, it was found that Robinson was found unconscious in the living room in San Jose del Cabo, and she died about 15 minutes after she was injured. The certificate had no mention of alcohol poisoning. The Robinson family is heartbroken at the government's lack of intent to help them even though they are U.S. citizens. While addressing the public, Shanquella's sister, Quilla Long, said, "I have not been able to rest since October 29th of 2022. I got the call of her death. I also was told lies about her death and I witnessed, among others, of the world, a video of a death. This journey has been frustrating, the feeling of disheartenment towards our government. I feel like our government has failed us. Now we have to take extra steps and measurements as far as rallies, as far as press conferences, and mailing letters. I feel like we should not have to do this." The fans shower the Robinson family with their love and best wishes. They respect them for not giving up and fighting for justice against all odds. Love the attorney's resolve to not give up and to continue fighting for this family. Also respect Mrs. Robinson's strength during this entire ordeal. Prayers going up for the Robinson family and for justice to be done. The traumatized mother still mourns the loss of her beautiful daughter. She was the last one to speak with Shanquella and was relieved that her daughter was enjoying herself. Her sorrow is beyond measure now that she will never be able to hear from her daughter again. Salamander Robinson told The People magazine, "She said they were all having a good time and I told her I'd talk to her tomorrow and I never spoke to my daughter again." That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.